KCF Jackson, and I'm the inventor of the Hunkering Stool. Today is my number 7th video on YouTube talking about the Hunkering Stool. And today I'm going to talk about how the Hunkering Stool has allowed me to reverse engineer all the decades of damage I've done to my body. Just a quick recap. I was a Division I college football player, and then I dropped out to go pursue a career in mixed martial arts. I was a professional fighter, and then I did strongman competitions. And during all that, I was a general contractor and worked long hours doing manual labor. I didn't have enough money to pay for a crew. Over the years, my body slowly started to break down, and I developed overuse and really bad dysfunctional injuries that basically almost incapacitated me. And I was able to reverse all that damage. And one of the things that's been so helpful in this journey has been my Hunkering Stool. And it wasn't a fancy medical procedure or a different kind of way of training. I literally have changed the way I rest. I no longer sit in a chair in a static 90-degree position. I am constantly resting on a Hunkering Stool, and then when I start feeling a little bit this isn't as comfortable anymore, I'll switch over to a Seiza pose, and then I'll rest here on my knees in a traditional Japanese Seiza. So number one, what happened on my journey and how my body was so beat up and broken down? There are a few contributing factors. I'm going to go over them. Number one, my arches collapsed, and there are lots of studies and documented evidence on how when the feet start to break down, it causes upward spiral of problems. My knees fall inside, my hips are out of place, my pelvis shifts, and it increases the strain on my lower back. And then along with that is when my foot is not working right, there's a connection with the fascia all the way up my body, especially from my foot to my glute, and then my glute wasn't firing right. So that's how it all started, was a breakdown of my feet. My foundation slowly broke down. And then I sat too much. I sat in chairs, I sat when I was driving, and I didn't get up and change my positions. And over time, my body just deteriorated, and I got stuck in the chair, even though I wasn't sitting in the chair. My third problem is I overtrained. My goal when I went to the gym was 1 more pound or 1 more rep. And I pushed my body past its limits, and I slowly broke down. And by breaking down, I started to accumulate injuries. And so overtraining, then injuries, and then sometimes I was injured and I didn't have health insurance, and I wasn't able to get the proper medical treatment. And so I just worked through it, and my body started to develop overuse injuries and had to compensate. And then finally, on a metaphysical, spiritual standpoint, down here, my lower chakras, my lower energy centers, I developed trapped energy and unbalanced energy, and my body slowly started to seize up around that. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what happened. The result from my body breaking down was a true lower back, pelvic, hip complex dysfunction. Everything from a biomechanical standpoint was out of whack. So from the collapsed arches threw me into an anterior pelvic tilt, or a lower cross syndrome, where my arches collapsed, throwing my knees inside, which caused my hips to spill the milk out, and then my psoas and hip flexors shortened and were very tight, which then caused my lower lumbar, my lower back muscles, my spinal erectors to seize up. Then my glutes were weak and not firing correctly, and my core was weak and not active. So from that, I developed, by having my pelvis out of whack, I developed a bad SI joint dysfunction, where my SI was always out of whack. And then from that, having my knees and my arches collapse, causing everything, my adductors slowly shut off. So that was some of the primary things that caused this breakdown. And then from there, the secondary results, those were the primary contributing factors. They were the root causes of my problems. And then the side effects were spinal problems, herniated and bulged discs, which then caused sciatica, which then caused nerve pain down my leg where I had no dorsal flexion anymore in my foot, and my foot would drag from the herniated and bulged discs in my lower back. And then from the weak core, once again, a shear force on my lower lumbar, and it was just very difficult to deal with. And I thought I was getting old, but I wasn't getting old. My body was just broken down and out of whack, out of proper structure. So my body was out of whack and broken down. So now I'm going to go over how the hunkering stool restored and reverse engineered all the damage that I've done. First of all, the main reasons why I invented the hunkering stool was allow me to rest in a position where I could decompress my spine. And then from being able to decompress my spine, it's now opened up my hips and activated my glutes, my adductors, and my hip stabilizers. And then as I'm actively resting and I'm doing a smiled, easy core workout. And now, as I rest on a hunkering stool, just by default, I am now positioning my body into a better alignment and proper posture. Where if I'm sitting in a chair, it's much more difficult for me to maintain an ideal posture, especially when my lower body is stuck in a chair and I'm just sitting on my ass and I can't move and bend and activate my muscles. Then from a Seiza pose, I'm now really opening up my front of my hips, my hip flexors, and I can pop back up and stretch them out, get a really good deep stretch, and then rest back down to a Seiza pose. And from here, I'm now able to really feel my core, suck in and zip up my pelvic floor muscles and engage that while I'm just resting here. And then with that, also, I'm now able to breathe deep into the bottom of my lungs. When I'm sitting in the chair, I can't open up the bottom. Our lungs are very big, great big balloons, and we don't just breathe from up here. You can breathe deep down into the lower part of your lungs and get a full breath of air. And we don't breathe enough. We breathe shallow and fast instead of taking deep, full breaths. And then with that, going back to the metaphysical, spiritual point of view, is I was able to start opening up and freeing up this bound up energy that was stuck down here in my lower chakras. Over the years, I have tried everything under the sun to keep my body moving and being able to train. And then over the years, it just slowly got to the point where I was now having a hard time putting on my socks or bending over and pulling up my pants. And like I said, I tried everything. I got cortisone, epidural shots in my L4 and L5. I went to spinal decompression, chiropractic, physical therapy. I tried different yoga, Pilates, which all these have helped as well, but they didn't restore me back. The only way I've been able to restore my body is by being able to restore the natural positions and engage my body and rest actively where I'm not stuck and static. And so the hunkering stool has been paramount on me being able to reverse engineer my body. And I know that it can help you do the same. So as a society, we sit too much. We are slowly, comfort is killing us, and we're no longer getting up and moving. And now as we age, people and elderly people are having a hard time just getting down in this position. I rest down here now without my hunkering stool. My knee just popped and I'm a little bit more achy, and now I'm getting a really deep stretch on my knees and back here at the bottom of my hamstrings. And it's a little uncomfortable for me. I can rest down here, then I can still breathe and move around, but it's a little bit more uncomfortable. And so with the hunkering stool, it just takes the strain off of that. So now I can still get the same benefits from actively resting in a hunkering stool without the pain and discomfort of the shear force on my knees and on my ankles and over down here in my hips. I'm 49 years old and I weigh 290 pounds. And now I'm back training. I have recently strained my side over here, my obliques, up into my lat and over here to my lower back, because I've been doing jujitsu hard and I'm retraining strongman. I don't know if I'm going to ever compete again, but the fact that I'm now hurt, not injured, from being able to train, I never thought I would be here. So the hunkering stool has literally reverse engineered all the damage I've done to my body, and I know it can do the same for you. So go check us out, check out my website, read my reviews. They will explain more about the stool and other people, their experiences with it, and you might find a kinship to one of those reviews. So go and check us out, and I'm gonna leave you with this. Here we go. I'm gonna leave you with this. I can't remember everything, so I have a few notes here. Stop sitting, stop collapsing, stop compressing your body, and start hunkering. Every moment you spend in a chair is reinforcing dysfunction. Every moment on the hunkering stool is reinforcing health, wellness, and proper function and mobility. So, once again, I was able to reverse engineer my body and all the damage I've done to it, and you can do the same thing. And you can reclaim your mobility and your flexibility, and you can restore your strength and power. And finally, hunkering isn't just resting, it's healing. And it's time to hunker down.